So today we're discussing the process of how to get our residential permits for a custom home here in the Phoenix Valley. Let's get to it. So some people that follow us in other states might be thinking, why is there a whole video on the custom home permit process? But the reason is that there's actually 4 to 5 permits that can be associated when getting a custom home permit here in the Phoenix Valley. The first is going to be a demo permit. And our demo permit is going to be mostly for infill development, where we're tearing an old structure down and replacing it with a new home, which is kind of our thing here at Rebuild the Block. And not only will we have to get a demo permit for the structure, but we also would have to get a separate demo permit if we're demolishing an existing pool or any other permanent structure that resides on the property. So we could have anywhere from 1 to maybe 3 or 4 permits that encompass demoing the property and getting it to a point where we can actually start construction. But wait, there's actually more. We have to not only get a municipality approval for demo, but we also have to get a dust permit when doing any demo or dirt work within the premises of Maricopa County. It's absolutely critical to get this permit, as they are out with a vengeance to place fees on anyone that doesn't have a dirt or dust permit that would be associated with the tasks of not only demo, but also building a certified dirt pad so that you can actually go vertical. All right, so we got our demo permit for the house, the pool, and the additional shed that's sitting out back, as well as the dust permit that allows us to be able to actually complete the demo work through Maricopa County. So we're about to go vertical, right? Well, not quite yet. The additional permit that's needed that has to be approved prior to getting your residential building permits is going to be your civil grading and drainage permit. Now, this is going to be coupled with your architectural set, but before they release the architectural set, they want to ensure that you have the proper grading and drainage plan for your new custom home. And this is typically submitted by a civil engineer of record that makes sure that the house is sitting at the appropriate height and that you have the appropriate retention basins that are necessary to not only get the water away from the house, but also to make sure that it doesn't overextend the city's poor planning about 30 or 40 years ago when these neighborhoods were developed, to ensure that we aren't adding additional water to the overall city drainage plan that can become a nuisance for flooding during the monsoon season. But enough of that. Ultimately, we're sitting at quite a few permits before we ever actually come out of the ground. We have our demo, we have our dust permit, and we have our civil G&D permit. So a lot of people say, let me get this straight, Nathan. So I need 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 permits before I ever even come out of the ground. So in conjunction with our civil grading and drainage plan, while not a permit, oftentimes if utilizing pavers for a driveway, you might be required to get a right-of-way permit and or a maintenance service contract if you're putting pavers in that location. Now this finally brings us to our residential building permit. So the process for residential building permit is once we have our demo permit in place and our civil grading and drainage in place, we're able to submit for our residential building permit. And this is typically done by the architecture team of record, and can be done either the traditional route where we submit to the city, or we can go through a self-cert architect, which usually helps to speed up that process. I'm not going to cover all the nuances between a standard plan revision and a self-cert plan revision, but one costs a little bit more and goes a little bit faster. One takes a little bit more time, costs a little bit less. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it when it comes to our residential building set of plans. Upon releasing the residential building permit, typically there's some additional pieces that are added to that, such as an upgraded water meter, the additional need for new block fence permits, as well as the potential for getting a separate pool permit, should that be a desired feature from the homeowner. As you can see, there's quite a few permits that entail residential custom building here in Phoenix. And while this process could be a little confusing, as well as costly as it relates to not only the cost of the permits themselves, but also the time associated with being able to actually get those permits, it's important for you to be able to work with a design team, specifically pre-construction team, that's going to allow you to be able to get through this process quickly and efficiently so that you don't have any hangups when it comes time to actually start construction. If you have any questions, feel free to DM us below. We're always happy to talk permits. And if you jump over to our next video, we'll talk about the timeframes associated with obtaining those permits. Have a great day.